Another busy night in the Champions League, but one of the major talking points once again surrounds the future of Kylian Mbappe, who is at the centre of intense transfer speculation.
Mbappe scored in a 1-1 draw with Benfica last night. PSG's head coach, Christophe Galtier, has dismissed reports the forward wants to leave the club because he feels betrayed. But for more on this, we're joined by European football expert Kevin Hatchard. Kevin, good morning. So good to have you in with us. Now, of course, we need to talk about that. It's not the first time that Mbappe has seemed close to a move away from PSG. What are your feelings about this situation? And could we see it progress ahead of January's transfer window?
I think there's an element of posturing here, to be honest, because obviously they were desperate to get him to sign a new contract in the summer. I think he felt he was going to have quite a lot of influence. The feeling is that he had this kind of shopping list of stuff that he wanted. Part of it was that he thought Neymar was going to leave the club in the summer. The opposite has happened. Neymar's playing very well, scoring goals, making goals, playing very well alongside Lionel Messi. Of course, they had that link from when they were together at Barcelona. And Mbappe's ended up playing centre-forward, which is not what he wanted to do. There was a message on social media recently, #PivotGang, which is basically he wants a centre-forward to play off rather than him be the number 9. So he's not happy about that. He's not happy about some of the transfer business. But realistically, where is he going to go? He shut the door on Real Madrid in the summer. I think they were quite wounded by that. It'd be quite a climb down for Real to then go and spend 200 million on a player they could have got for free just a few months later.
Yeah, that's the thing with Real Madrid. You think they'd be so vexed about that. You think it might rule them out, but who else could there be then?
I mean, there are clubs that have the numbers. I mean, you would think a club like Newcastle, for example, would be desperate to try and make a statement signing, although they aren't completely free and easy with what they can do in the market. But I think he is in a difficult situation because there are very few options. There are very few clubs that could really put together the kind of package that Paris would want in the first place, and then that he personally would want. There's a lot of talk about Liverpool. Are Liverpool realistically going to commit that amount of money? As amazing as Mbappe is, that would be a major shift from what the club has done before.
Well, I've just seen Pete Graves do a backflip there where you mentioned Newcastle at the corner of my eye. I can't believe it. Wow. Away from Mbappe then, Pep Guardiola frustrated with VAR controversy in last night's game, ruling out Rodri's spectacular 25-yard strike. Do you notice any subtle difference in the way that VAR is applied in European competitions compared to how it's applied in the Premier League?
There are differences in terms of the semi-automated offsides. We've seen that brought in this season, and that's something I think we're going to see in the major leagues going forward. I thought this was really interesting because the law was changed last year in that an accidental handball by a player, if he wasn't the goal scorer, you know, it used to be that would just automatically be ruled out as soon as it hit Mahrez's hand, but can't be a goal. That has changed now. It's only the goal scorer that applies to. I guess what you look at is it deliberate? When you look at the law, and because his arm is out, I guess the referee has been advised to go and have another look, and because the arm is away from the body, that's why it's been ruled out. But I think it was a little harsh, and I wonder in the Premier League whether that same decision would have been made.
Right, Jude Bellingham, he's been amazing for Dortmund. He's been really shining for England as well. And Dortmund do tend to, for the right price, sell their players. That's their model. So looking forward, and we don't know when, but where could Bellingham go next? Because he will move on. Yeah, well, it's not being disrespectful. That's their model.
The question is when. Right. So I was talking to people at the weekend. I was at the Klassiker on Saturday, which is an incredible game. Dortmund-Bayern scored right at the end to equalise Dortmund. Bellingham had a very mature performance, actually. He got booked in the first half, absolutely slamming into Jamal Musiala, who's supposed to be a really good friend of his. And he clattered into the ball first and took him, and Musiala ended up doing a bit of a backflip. So he's been excellent. But it's when does he go? He could go at the end of the season. That is entirely possible. But Dortmund are saying to him, well, look, you've already captained the side. You know you're going to be one of the first names on the team sheet. There's an opportunity for you to lead the side going forward. So he's keeping his options open. From people I've spoken to, there is no agreement in place with anyone. I know there's been a lot of talk about Liverpool doing groundwork, but he is absolutely keeping his options open and not really that obsessed with a move at this stage. He's just enjoying his football for Dortmund, enjoying developing. He's got a great link with the fans. He's kind of happy where he is right now.
Right, well, let's talk about Champions League this evening. Tottenham taking on Eintracht Frankfurt. Goalless draw last week. How do you expect Frankfurt to come into this one tonight and line up against Tottenham?
Which Frankfurt are we going to get? That's the question, because they've had some incredible performances. They won at Marseille, were very, very good. They beat Union Berlin, who are top of the Bundesliga right now, playing really well, really hard to beat. They thrashed Leipzig 4-0 a few weeks ago, but at the weekend they were awful, genuinely awful. They lost 3-0 away at Bochum, who were bottom of the league, still bottom of the league. It's their first win of the season. And Oliver Glasner, the coach, afterwards said, look, I have to take the responsibility for this. And there has been a feeling, of course, they won the Europa League last season. There has been a feeling that sometimes they junk the league to prioritise European games. So I think any Tottenham fans excited by how bad they were at the weekend, I think should think again, we won't see that same Frankfurt. Tottenham are favourites. If Tottenham play anywhere near their top level, they win. But Frankfurt are awkward opponents.
Sadly for Rangers, it's 3 defeats out of 3, and it's Liverpool tonight. But they are at home, of course. What's gone wrong in the group stages for Giovanni Van Bronckhorst? Getting into the Champions League proper in this group stage was widely celebrated, and rightly so, but it hasn't gone right.
It's a higher level is the basic answer, I think. Every mistake is punished. I think they found that. I thought they were really sloppy against Ajax, where they were well beaten in Amsterdam. That came hot on the heels of a heavy defeat in the Old Firm derby against Celtic, where they were making similar errors, really. Things like set pieces, not switching on quickly enough. I think against Napoli they were better, but Napoli are beating everybody at the moment. And obviously at Anfield they didn't really lay a glove on Liverpool. What they've got to do is start well, got to get the crowd involved, got to be physical, got to try and exploit these gaps in the Liverpool rearguard, of which there are many. So this is their big opportunity to make a statement, because the team that beat Dortmund so impressively in the Europa League, that was them playing at their maximum. You've got to find another level in the Champions League, and they've not quite found it.
So one team that are not doing too well in the competition to one team that are standout performers. Club Brugge, 3 wins out of 3. Ferran Huckler has shone for Club Brugge as well. He left Barcelona for just £5 million in the summer. What can you tell us about him? Why has he been a standout performer for them?
Well, he's a player that started to get game time towards the end of his time at Barcelona. He was a player they were excited about, but at Barcelona, the competition for places is so fierce. With Lewandowski coming, I don't think he was going to get an opportunity there somehow, but he's playing regularly. They're an attack-minded team. It was quite interesting because a lot of people wondered, when Alfred Schroeder, their coach, went to Ajax, they wondered how they would do. Karl Hufkens, who people know from English football, has come in and done a terrific job. They still play on the front foot. They've had some tight games that have gone their way, but the performance in Porto, against Porto, to win 4-0, I couldn't believe it. It was just a remarkable display. So they're on the crest of a wave at the moment. They had a real fight to win their league last season, which is unusual for them. And I wonder if that momentum has kind of carried on a little bit. And they've taken advantage of teams out of form, Leverkusen and Atletico Madrid.
Kevin, it is always a pleasure to see you in the studio.
Joy.
See you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.